In our top story, Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has called for greater economic cooperation and stronger security ties with India during his two-day trip to the country. Pang Meng has more.
Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe is conducting his first official visit to India. On Thursday, Abe and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi witnessed the launch of India's new bullet train project. Japan is providing more than 80% of the funding for the project. And Abe hopes economic cooperation between the two nations can extend beyond Asia. Abe said the two countries will cooperate in combining Japan's free and open Indo-Pacific Ocean strategy with India's Act East policy.
Japan and India will further merge the policies for a free and open Indian-Pacific region with Prime Minister Modi's Act East policies. And tonight, Prime Minister Modi and I agreed to work together on a project to further heighten regional cooperation in Asia, Africa, and the Middle East.
Aside from economic ties, Abe also called for greater military cooperation between India, Japan, and the United States. In July, the three countries held a joint military exercise called Malabar. India and the U.S. began the exercise. Japan later joined in 2015. Abe said military cooperation among the three nations will be stronger in the future. Abe said India and Japan will also coordinate on regional security. Abe called for the strict enforcement of the new UN resolution on the DPRK, saying India and Japan agree on a firm response to Pyongyang over its last missile launch. Tamong, CGTN.
While Abe was unveiling these cooperation strategies in India, China's foreign ministry made comments at a regular press briefing today. The spokesperson said China holds a welcoming and open attitude towards the development of normal ties between its neighboring countries.
What we advocate is for regional countries to conduct a dialogue instead of confrontation and engage with each other as partners instead of allies. We should make joint efforts in constructing a nation-Pacific partnership which is mutually trusting, inclusive, cooperative, and win-win. We hold a welcoming and open attitude towards the surrounding countries developing normal relations. We hope the development of relations between relevant countries will play a constructive role in increasing mutual trust and cooperation among regional countries and help maintain regional peace and stability.
Well, let's talk a bit more about Abe's trip with Ajay Cha, a senior political analyst based in New Delhi. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, this bullet train project, it's going to cost nearly $17 billion US, and Japan is going to fund 80% of this through loans with very small returns. And analysts are saying it's a project of low profitability. So what does Japan have to gain from this?
Look, number one, if you talk a bullet train, it is going to be long-term investment. India is going for that. India will have a different, different parts of India will get connected through bullet train. So it's just the beginning. It will take time before profit, one can expect profit to come by. But it is not all about investment. If you see, it has more of a political connotation. The Japanese Prime Minister's visit has more political connotations because he is going to face elections in his country next year. His popularity has gone down in his country, and with a greater investment in India, yes, of course, the number of companies registered in India, Japanese companies, has grown up. So more investment means better business opportunities. So this is one, and through that, number two, if you see, whatever limited Indian origin voters are there, he is trying to appeal to them also. This is one. As far as Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi is concerned, he is going to face elections in his home state Gujarat in next 2.5 months. So bullet train, Japanese investment and all these things, this is a more of a political thing if you see that rather than actually investment as such.
This is just an example of the kind of investment we've seen between Japan and India. They've been steadily shoring up their economic and military cooperation. So talk to us a bit more about India's main reason for strengthening ties with Japan on all these sides.
Look, I will put it very bluntly. Both countries are scared of China, India and Japan. So India and Japan military ties, defense ties, strategic ties, investment ties, whatever economic ties. So it suits both the countries because both the countries have some dispute or the other with China. Not only that, Japan is also facing some problem with North Korea. India doesn't, but still Japan does. So it is trying to create a situation where all the major powers of the world are with it.
All right, Mr. Ajay Chah, thank you so much for sharing your insights with us. Now, Abe also talked about working with India on a project to build up relations with African countries. So for the details on this, let's bring in Beatrice in Nairobi. Beatrice.
Yes, indeed, Xiao Yang. Now, India and Japan already have strong trade ties with Africa, and Japan and India are now fairly close to announcing the creation of an initiative that is aimed at increasing trade between Japan, India, and Africa. Japan has been involved on the African continent for several decades. Japanese assistance to Africa dates back to the 1950s and has intensified since the establishment of Tokyo's International Conference on African Development, or TICAD, some 24 years ago. It is aimed at improving development on the continent. Here's Angelo Coppola with more.